Well, I just sat down to film something and I found Murphy. I was wondering where he was. And then I heard him behind me. Hello. I am going to read The Flame and the Flower by Kathleen Woodiwiss. This is just an edition I purchased off of thrift books. I just bought like whatever was cheapest. I'm a little bummed it doesn't have a step back, but that's fine. It does have these like red orange sprayed edges, and this is like often considered like the original romance novel. I've talked about romance novels before, like the history of them a little bit and everything, and I would argue this is not. Is this a first printing? This book's in really good shape if it's from 1972 and it's just been like, oh my gosh. Crazy. Anyways, because I would argue that this is not the first romance novel in actuality, but is probably the first romance novel that was like published really to be a romance novel and was this thing. And it is published by Avon, which is, you know, still a good still a big publisher. It was $1.50. Does it smell like book? Oh, it does. It smells like good old library book. I love that smell. It's probably some sort of like mildew or fungus or something, whatever. So I have actually never finished a Kathleen Woodiwiss book. So I think this is the only one I ever tried to read. I think I did try to read this. Maybe it was a different one. Maybe this whole time I've been hating on this book in my head and it was a different book, but I feel like it was this one. So my stepmom, she doesn't read a lot of romance anymore. She doesn't, no, she does read, but whatever. But she was always a Kathleen Woodiwiss fan, a Joanna Lindsey fan. I've read a lot of Joanna Lindsey. That was what was in my house when I first got into romances, so that's what I read. Why did I not read a lot of Kathleen Woodiwiss when that was probably in my house too? I don't know. A lot of her books are set in America, and I'm not a big American set historicals person. So that could be why. But yes, so like the front of this says, the bold, tempestuous romance of a kidnapped and ravished aristocratic girl. So I'm pretty sure, well, I think this is Kathleen Woodiwiss. She's very pretty. Look at her. You go, girl. You go. So I'm pretty sure, I don't know, the font was so small back then, I feel like. This is a big book. It's 430 pages, and this is some pretty tiny font and small margins. I could not find an audiobook, which is what I really wanted. So I'm going to read this with my eyeballs, and I am purposely reading it now because, one, I wanted to read and put this video up in February because it's the month of love. And because I just read Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lim, and all I want to do is read Unravel the Dusk, and I keep putting this off, and I figure if I make myself read this before I can like read that book, I will be motivated to push myself to finish it. I'm trying to do that. I do think it's kind of important to read like foundational, like canonical texts in the genre. Not for like everybody, but I think it's interesting, and I'm curious more about the genre. I'm doing a lot of research about the genre right now. It's something I used to be really interested in college, and I like let go of that in my life, and I kind of want that back, and maybe I'll do videos about that in the future. I would love to. It's just like I want them to be really good. So yes, I'm gonna read this and vlog it. Hopefully it will only take me a few days, although I say that it is Monday right now. I don't read a lot during the week. I always intend to, and then I'm just like too exhausted after work. Does it have a setting? $17.99. Okay. Ooh, are we gonna? This is gonna be an interesting one. I'm scared. I think I've said this before when I did my like month of romance videos. I think that was in 2020. Talking about historically there are a lot of rape or rape adjacent scenes in a lot of older romances, and a lot of people would consider that problematic. That is, whatever the Kathleen Woodiwiss book that I put down, it did have that. And to me, it was straight up rape. Like, it wasn't the whole like, oh, it's rape, but she kind of likes it. It wasn't that. Not that that makes it better, but in my head, it does make it better. Like, I've read some Joanna Lindsay like that. And I can wrap my head around that. But what I read really bothered me. I think that's the first time I had ever DNF'd a book in my life. And that was back in college. However, I do understand that historically, a huge part of the reason why that happened in these books was because that was really the only way to write about female pleasure, was because a woman couldn't enjoy sex, so like you had to like force her to enjoy it, which that's like a whole nother conversation. One, I don't know if that's true. I don't know, like, this is what I have heard is why it happened. I was not alive in the 70s. I was born in 1988, so I can't comment on what the world was actually like back then and if this is true. Also, there's like what publishing thinks should be happening and what society thinks should be happening. I think those are not always in tune. I think frequently they are not. I think the publishing industry tends to lag behind. There could be a few reasons for that, obviously, not the least of which is production. But I think it's a compelling argument. Like, I buy it. Is it a convenient story, or is it actually what happened? So yes, we're gonna get this started. I will keep you updated. We will see how it goes. Maybe I will read during the week. That will make some people in this home happy. Oh, that was... I'm sorry. You're right. I shouldn't have touched you. This is, he's just expressing his boundaries. It'll make Murphy happy because he likes to cuddle. He just attacks me. And I'm about to say how he likes to cuddle. He'll totally be fine in like 2 seconds. He'll probably come back over here. Hello. So, Murphy, why is there litter on your fur? Okay, we'll get that out later. So it's been like 5 days since I filmed the intro to this video, and I finally picked up Flame in the Flower. It was half work being a little stressful, so me being too tired when I got home, and half me just putting off reading this book. Anyways, and I actually today I got an Amazon delivery, so I thought I would well, this was partially open, and I've actually, please don't eat that. He doesn't actually eat any cardboard or anything, but whatever. I actually already read both of these books, but I wanted physical editions. So first was Electric Idol by Katie Robert. I read it as an audiobook shortly after it came out. I mean, it just came out in January. But I wanted the physical edition to support her. It was amazing. And then this just came out as well, the special edition of Barbarian Alien by Ruby Dixon. As of right now, I think they are only, who is this? Who is publishing these? Because these are originally self-published. Okay, it's an imprint of Berkeley is publishing these. And I got Ice Planet Barbarian in January. I think I just picked it up at Target. And she said if they do well, they'll keep doing these. And at first, I wasn't sure if I liked these, but I actually think I do. And I could do without the special edition sticker that's not a sticker, but whatever. So that's exciting. And I'm not adding books that I've already read. And I am planning on changing my library around, which I may be able to buy another bookshelf if I do that. Well, I'll definitely buy an extra bookshelf, but that will be for TBR books. We're not going to talk about it. But maybe another Red Books bookshelf, and then I will have more space because I am overwhelming this area for sure. So, but it's just a matter of moving everything around. I'm so overwhelmed by the idea of doing that. Anyways, the book. See, I'm even putting off talking about it. I am about 100 pages in. This is definitely not the book I read before. I'm not sure. It might have been The Wolf and the Dove, maybe. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure it was not this one. Although, there's still rapey bits. Very early on. Very early. So, I don't, like, I'm not gonna, like, avoid spoilers, I don't think, because, no, I'm not gonna do that. The writing style is different than, like, what I expect right now. The writing style is different than what I'm used to now, and it's a little hard to understand, sometimes, like, what's going on, like, who in theory, whose head I'm in theory in. It's third person, but, like, I don't know. I thought this was an American set, but it's not. Well, I think they go to America at some point. But the heroine is English, I guess. I think her mom was Irish. There's, like, some drama there. So I'm not really sure, like, how she would identify herself, but she is English. This takes place not too long after the American Revolution. So there's, like, a lot of, like, you know, mean comments about the Irish, always, and about Yankees. So the colonists, the rebels, me, you know, it's okay. I don't, like, and I'm not saying that because, like, I care. It's just, like, the vibe. And so the main girl, Hannah, I think her father died. I'm unsure, honestly, if her father is dead or, like, gone. I'm not really sure. But he lost his wife to childbirth when Hannah was born, and I think, sir, no. And it really messed him up, and I think he's dead, but again, I'm not sure. And now Hannah, who's almost 18, she's not even 18. She's going to be 18 in a month, sir. Which I'm not okay with, but it's okay. Lives with her aunt and uncle, and I believe her uncle is her dad's brother. I think I finally got that clarified, like, right before the part where I stopped. And her aunt is really mean to her, like, think Cinderella vibes, but, like, really bad. And her aunt's brother comes to visit and offers her a job at a school. I'm pretty sure it was a brothel. And then she goes to London with him, and then he tries to rape her, and she stabs him, maybe kills him, unsure if he's dead or not. So she runs away, and then she thinks people are coming after her, so she goes with them. Whatever. But really, they were looking for what I now assume was a prostitute. I thought they were just looking for a random lady, but they were looking for a prostitute. To take back to their ship captain, Brandon. So they take her there, and he proceeds to rape her. And she says no several times, and, like, later he's like, well, I thought it was, like, an act or something. And I'm just like, and even, like, he knows, because they always know that they're a virgin. And that doesn't even give him pause. He's just like, oh, yeah, I mean, like, you could have made a lot of money selling your virginity, but you just gave it to me. So nice of you. And she's like, no, you raped me. And he's like, no. And she's like, yes. And he's like, well, if we do it a few more times, you'll enjoy it. Oh my gosh. I feel like this is even worse than the other book that I DNF'd. And ultimately, she escapes from him. Although he is the hero. I know he's the hero. Like, he is the hero of this story. She escapes from him. She returns to her aunt and uncle. Ends up, shocker, pregnant. They did have sex twice, though. So at least shout out to Kathleen Woodiwiss for at least having them, by have sex, I mean he raped her twice. At least twice. It could have been more than twice. Sometimes things were a little vague. Her aunt finds out she's pregnant and wants her to marry the father, and then is gonna like marry her off to some local guy who really likes her and seems like a cool dude. And she probably should have just taken him up on that offer, and this book would have been over and she would have had a better life. Because the guy like literally proposes to her and she says no and like tries to push him away. And then her aunt is like, you're gonna marry him, I knew it was him. And she's like, it's not him, I got lost from your brother. And then I don't know. So now, whatever, her father had a friend who really cares about her. Why she isn't with him and she's with this crappy aunt who mistreats her, I don't know. The dude feels bad about it now. He's like, oh my god, you're awful, why did I ever let you have her? He seems like a cool dude. I think her uncle means well, but he's not the best either. And so this dude who was friends with her dad, who cares about her, tracks down Brandon and is going to force him to marry her. Oh, also, did I forget to mention Brandon is engaged. And when he's talking to her after he rapes her, he's like, oh, well, I'll just buy you a house in London, and then every time I come here, I'll come see you. And I'm pretty sure right now that's his plan for her, even pregnant, is like just to make her his mistress. Well, it's an adventure so far. I don't know. Like, and this book is so long. It's like over 400 pages. And the chapters are, I think I'm only on chapter like 2, maybe 3. I think I might be starting 3 soon. And I'm at like 100 pages. Oh my gosh. I plan on reading more tonight. I don't know when I'll update again. But it's a journey. It's like worse than I expected. And I don't know if this is supposed to be like, not that I've ever read this book. I started reading it. I didn't finish it. But I've seen the movie a few times. I don't know if it's supposed to be like Scarlett O'Hara vibes, like where you have this like very toxic but like passionate relationship, if that's where we're going. I assume she's going to give birth, which again, I see Scarlett and Rhett vibes here. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie, but those are the vibes I get. This is an experience. And all I want to do is read Unravel the Dusk. And like part of me just wants to be like, okay, you read 100 pages, reward yourself. But I really want to put this video up in February, and I feel like if I don't read it right now, it's never going to go up in February. Hello. I haven't read in a week. And I think it's literally because I don't want to read this stupid book. And I can't decide. Like, do I DNF it? Do I try to read it slowly a little bit at a time, and the video goes up late? It goes up late. It's not a big deal. I don't know. I can't decide. So I just keep sitting here watching YouTube videos, trying to decide what to do. I'm also a little tired now, but I haven't read all week. I mean, it's a long weekend, but I don't know. The video was supposed to go up on Sunday, and part of me is like, just read it. And I'm like, I feel like if it was for anything else, I would have DNF'd it, right? But I feel like I need to read it for the vlog, but also because I feel like it is a canonical piece of literature. So I feel like I need to read it. But I was reading reviews, and I feel like I'm gonna hate it even more. I can't decide. And I was like, well, maybe I'll just read Unravel the Dusk, and then I'll like reevaluate. I don't know. Okay, I think I'm going to go through it, and I'm going to tab all the chapters and see how many there are, and maybe I'll split it up. Okay, so I'm almost 300 pages, into Flame in the Flower. I did, in fact, I need to brush my hair. I'm also cooking some fake chicken to put on the salad. So, oh, I was like, why is my hair tie moving? It's one of those plastic ones. But I want to brush my hair while I'm doing this because I got places to go. By which I mean I need to go do my laundry after I finish my lunch. So you might hear my toaster oven. My kitchen's right there, and it makes a lot of noise while it's cooking. Anyways, I did end up separating the book. These chapters are massive. I think there are 10 chapters in this book, and it's almost 400 pages. This is ridiculous. I hate it because I'm a stop at the end of the chapter reader. I will stop at a page break if I have to, but I prefer to stop at the end of a chapter. So for the most part, I separated out the remaining chapters, and then I had one that was really big, so I did a page break. I've read like 2.5, I was like halfway through a chapter the last time I talked, and I've read 2.5 chapters since then. Today is when the video is supposed to go out. I've just decided it's not going out, and that's fine. Ooh. Okay, so now we are in, well, I thought that they were going to like South Carolina because they kept saying he was from Charleston, but I think he lives in like the Bahamas or something. Anyways, so we went across the sea, which was dramatic. Actually it was probably my favorite part so far. Like there was a moment where she was kind of having flashbacks that I got really connected to Heather for the first time ever. And I really cared about her. At this point, I don't give out 1 stars very often. If this doesn't get 1 star and it gets 2, it'll be because of that scene, like those scenes, and George. We'll talk in a moment about George, if I remember. I'm easily distracted. So I'm sure I don't brush my hair properly. Anyways. So yes, that was very dramatic. And then we landed in Charleston. Brandon, as a surprise to nobody, does own slaves. It is what it is. I get that it's realistic. Okay, and that's fine. I guess I'd rather you do that than pretend it doesn't exist. He seems nice to his slaves, and of course you have like the slave, I feel like it's a stereotypical character, like the older black woman who works in the house and is like loves her master and like probably helped raise him, and they're very close. And I'm sure that happened. I don't know, I just feel like a lot of times it's like a really negative thing. Whatever, I'm not going to talk too much about that. But that is in there. So this does take place in 1799. I think we're in like the year 1800 now because it's like Christmas just happened. So it's got to be a new year. Oh, we met Brandon's fiance, now ex-fiance, and we're obviously not supposed to like her, which I get. So much hair. And I think she is kind of a bad person, but at the same time, like, she was engaged to him. She's allowed to be mad that he came home married and with his wife pregnant. Like, I think she's entitled to be angry about that. Which somebody did say that in the story, which I appreciated. But she's obviously not supposed to be a good person. Thank God we do have that older black woman. Her name is Hattie. Because otherwise the story would just be full of very toxic women, except for Heather. And I'm not a big fan of that trope, but I think it's pretty prevalent, especially around this time. It's very much like kind of playing into the virgin and whore dynamic. Like, you can only be one or the other. Like, this is a very common thing in like Snow White stories. That's a topic for another time. Are there Snow White retellings other than Winter? Maybe I could do a smash trash for that. Anyways, because I think Snow White isn't interesting. story. Anyways, whatever. We still have this very toxic relationship between Heather and Brandon, which he's very volatile, and I don't know. Like, I've read alpha characters, I've read obnoxious men who are like loud, but for some reason what he does rubs me the wrong way. And I think Lacey from Lacey Book Lovers, she talks a lot about like groveling, and like if you grovel, and I just like don't see him ever doing that, and maybe that's what makes it better. Oh, my oven's gonna go off soon. We'll see. I do think, and then Heather is still that like, she's meek, but then occasionally she gets spicy, but like in her head, I don't know. I still don't like it. And then she also will like do things to make him happy, and I'm like, why? And it's not even like the abusive relationship where like I feel like you're manipulated into trying to please this person. I feel like that's not even what it is, because then I could like get behind it and I could understand psychologically why you're doing. I just don't understand what she's doing. She's just a child making stupid decisions that feel like they're for plot reasons and not psychological ones. George. Let's get to George. George is saving this book in so many ways. George works for Brandon. I think he's like a servant, like kind of like a valet thing. He's not like a first mate. I'm not really sure his position. But he's the one who brought Heather to Brandon, which we did just have a scene where he was talking to himself, and basically it was like, I really wish I had never done that, which good on you, George. But George has been a nice guy. I think he's older. Like in my head, I picture him, at first I thought he was younger, but they've said some stuff, so I think he's maybe like in his 50s, you know, old, whatever. But he seems to care about Heather, and he realizes that she's being mistreated. Like in my head, George and Heather should run away together. Not in a romantic way, but in like a father-daughter way, and escape the toxicity that is Brandon. But that's fine. Nothing better happened to George. That's all I have to say. He's like the only one who sees Heather like as a person. He sees Brandon's bad behavior. He tries to keep Heather happy. Like he tries to give her joy. He like respects her, all of those things. So yes, I like George.
Good reading, buddy. Do you want neck scratches? Oh, no more neck scratches? Okay.
Alright, so I finished Flame in the Flower this morning. I also got Chinese for dinner, and I spilled oil on myself from my egg roll, and I really like this sweatshirt, and oil is like the hardest thing to get out, but what are you gonna do? It was what it was. Anyways, hi sir. No, I'm exporting a video, so please don't step on my laptop. This is literally my life. Anyways, so no, also don't knock over the laptop. I finished it. I gave it 2 stars. I was really tempted to go with the 1, especially because like that last bit had a decided lack of George. There were some moments like Heather never got any better. She's basically like a non-entity. Like, is she a person? I don't know. Anyways, but Brandon had some moments where I was like, oh, maybe he's gonna get it. He's gonna get it. He's gonna get that he's an ass. No, he didn't. He was like, well, this is how my dad was. And everybody was like, that's how his dad was. Isn't that great? And then he like basically goes to her and is like, you're gonna sleep in my bed, we're not gonna be separated anymore, we're gonna be married. Which I'm not opposed to that conversation. And like, I don't know if I said this earlier in these clips, like, I'm not opposed to like dubious consent in my romance novels, okay? I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. But not this. And so I don't have a problem with the occasional asshole hero, an alpha hole, you know, that kind of thing. I'm not opposed to that. Listen. I live with toxic masculinity, okay? This one. Anyways, you'd have to live in my life to understand why that's funny, and there's a whole backstory. Anyways, whatever. So I thought he was gonna get it. But then she like, I was kind of confused about what was going on. I think I was kind of skimming it though, so I'm not so sure that was Kathleen Woodiwiss's writing as much as it was my inability to read every word. But he was like mad because she wasn't coming to him, and he was like, well, I guess rape it is. And I'm like, that's one solution, sir. But sure. Louisa continued to be a villain character. That's his ex-fiance. I can't remember if I ever said what her name was. There was just a lot of stuff. I don't like to say the word problematic because I really hate that word, and I think it gets thrown around a lot when maybe it shouldn't be. But, you know, probably. I do understand the idea, and I think I said this before, of this idea of female pleasure could only come from being forced to have female pleasure. Like, I'm not unsympathetic to that argument and everything. I'm sure I said this in the opening of this video, so I'm sorry if it's redundant. I filmed that like 3 weeks ago. But this just felt like too much to me, and it felt a lot like, this is a really close-up view of my face, sorry. Also sorry if you can hear my computer fan right now. I didn't even think about that. I was like, I just want to film this while this is exporting. I'm so sorry. This was just too much. I don't even know what to say. I'm not coherent. Part of me wants to write a review, but like, what do I have to say? Brandon never felt bad for what he did. This is a very toxic world. It's full of toxic characters, and it heavily emphasizes a lot of what has existed in the world, and at least in fiction. This idea of like the virgin whore dynamic, which honestly, like, the rape stuff bothered me, but I think the virgin whore thing bothers me a little bit more. I really hate when my romance novels like shit on other women. It doesn't mean that a female character can't be bad or can't be a villain character, can't be an antagonist. But when like a woman basically exists to only be that, especially by being like the slutty other girl, it was one of my biggest issues with New Adult. It's one of the reasons I love Jennifer L. Armentrout. In her, I don't know what the series is actually called, but the first one is called Wait For You. She ended up writing a story about the like slutty other girl, and Al Kennedy does it in the Off-Campus books, and in some ways I would consider The Shameless Hour by Serena Bowen in the I don't know what those books are called, but the Harkness College books, it's a similar thing there too. And I love that. I love showing that girl is still a person. Yeah, so this was great. I mean, still standing strong on my not liking US set historicals. I don't think I will read another Kathleen Woodiwiss book. This is one of my stepmom's favorites. She loved Kathleen Woodiwiss. Respect to her. Do I see why people love it? Quite frankly, no. But I could especially see, if you grew up with this book, it being one you really love. I feel like it claims to have a lot of passion, but I never felt it. you know? And I guess Kathleen Woodiwiss wrote a book for their son. Do you think he's just as much of an ass as his dad? Probably. If I hate read, I would probably read that book, but I don't hate read. Anyways, that's it. I feel like this video was a lot of incoherent complaining about the characters in this book. I'm sorry. I also have to edit it now, so gotta go. I'm gonna upload this video in the meantime, watch some YouTube videos, and yeah, probably try to like spot treat this oil out of my favorite sweatshirt. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.